Hello, everyone, and welcome to our webinar, The Books Are Afoot. I'm 19th Century Lady Sleuth Susan Maguire, Senior Editor for Collection Management and Library Outreach here at BOOKLIST. Before we begin, I'd like to go over a few technical details. To resize the slides, look to the magnifying glass icons located to the left of the slides. There you can increase or decrease the size and select how you'd like the slides to appear. If you lose audio or would like to change the way you're connected to it, look at the bottom of your screen for a circle with 3 dots. Clicking that icon will open a menu with an audio connection option. If you experience any issues during the webinar, click on the FAQ Webinars in the drop-down menu at the top of your WebEx screen to view a PDF with answers to commonly asked webinar questions. The audience is in listen-only mode, but we welcome any questions you may have. On the right side of your screen is a control panel with an area at the bottom for Q&A. Simply type your question into the field and click Send. Attendees can see questions asked during the webinar and the answers provided. Links to today's slides and the title list were sent directly to you from WebEx at the start of the webinar, but you can also download them at any time by copying the URLs on this screen into your web browser. All attendees will receive a follow-up email containing links to today's slide presentation, title list, certificate of completion, and video recording tomorrow. Today, we have a great panel. We have the pleasure of hearing from Jennifer Rubens, Associate Director of Creative Marketing at Books on Tape, Sarah Porter, Editor at Severn House, Virginia Stanley, Director of Library Marketing at HarperCollins Publishers, and Bob Gusson, co-founder and CEO of Oceanview Publishing. First, we'll hear from Jennifer Rubens. Jen is the Associate Director of Creative Marketing for Penguin Random House Audio and has been listening to audiobooks since she learned to read, turning the page when she heard that chime, which we can all relate to. Jen has devoted herself to supporting the art of storytelling in some shape or form for as long as she can remember. After graduating from Binghamton University with a degree in English and theater, she performed as an actress in theaters and schools around the country, including educational and literature-based theater, where she led Q&As with students after performances. Jen studied Shakespeare at the British American Drama Academy in Oxford and is a proud member of Actors Equity. She first discovered her passion for publishing while working as both a copy editor and author of reading comprehension books. Jen couldn't be more thrilled to bring her passions for books, actors, and storytelling all together with Books on Tape, where she's always excited to connect with libraries and listeners. Welcome, Jen. The floor is yours.
Thank you so much. I'm thrilled to be here to talk about some thrills and chills with audiobooks and this great panel. And I'm excited to kick it off with some blockbusters because as we head into a season, we have holiday road trips coming up, we have baking and crafting on our to-do list, we're perhaps escaping the cold. I'm really dreading changing the clocks this weekend, and it's going to get colder. We need to cuddle up with some good books. So I want to make sure you don't underestimate the potential of mysteries on audio, which I'm sure that you don't, but perhaps I can reveal a bit of the mystery behind the mic and what goes into some of these books that you might have heard about, but perhaps you don't know about how great the narration is for the audio experience. And as I'm sure you already know, audiobooks are booming. According to the recent Audio Publishers Association 2019 Consumer Survey, mystery, thriller, and suspense remains the top genre for audiobook consumers. I think it makes a lot of sense when you think about podcast listens, and many things are very chilling, and there are lots of mystery podcasts, and I think it's the perfect fit. And this is kind of cool. Audiobook consumers listen to an average of 6.8 audiobooks in the last 12 months, which is up from 6.5 in the previous survey, and 24% of consumers listen to 10 or more in that time. So, one narrator you definitely need to know as you serve this growing community of listeners is Scott Brick, who you can see on the screen right there. He's the man with the golden voice, which was recently proclaimed in the Wall Street Journal. I love what he had to say about narrating audiobooks. He says, "It becomes like muscle memory, a character I've done for many years. As soon as I see an author's words, it just comes right back. It's like putting on a really comfortable shirt." And I think that's so cool to know that some of these series that your readers love so much and they love coming back to these characters, when you listen to the audiobook, you're really really getting such a neat experience because this narrator has such a connection with these characters as well. And you're getting just a little bit extra sometimes, where if the holds list is very high, it could be a really fun way for a fan to experience the series in a completely new way that they've never thought of before. And just to point out here with Scott Brick, he recently took over the voice of Jack Reacher, which was not an easy feat since Dick Hill was a much beloved narrator in that role. And Booklist gave him a starred review for his first go at it, saying his smooth delivery matches Child's pace and parallels the ratcheting levels of danger and suspense. Brick's fine performance enlivens the novel, accurately reflecting characters and tone to create a mesmerizing production. So you have more of Scott Brick as Jack Reacher to look forward to. It's on sale today, Blue Moon by Lee Child, and don't miss some of these other audiobooks as well, all voiced by Scott Brick. And then also some other blockbusters. I know you're familiar with these authors, but just to reveal, if you're not familiar with the voices behind the audiobooks, Robert B. Parker's Angel Eyes. This is the latest thriller featuring the legendary Boston PI, Spencer. This time he's heading to the City of Angels to meet old friends and new enemies, of course. And Booklist has called Joe Mantegna's impressive talents as ones that magnify the fearful suspense in the thriller. So definitely fun to hear. The incredible Tony Roberts is the voice of all of Stuart Wood's novels, and Booklist has said that his smooth, easy reading escapism is in the trademark Wood style, and it's just so much fun to listen to and really brings these mysteries to life in a new way. And then there you see Eric Conger. He reads John Sandford's books for the Virgil Flowers series, and Booklist said, and I thought this was such a cool description, Flowers remains one of the great modern fictional detectives, and Sandford as always supplies amazing secondary characters, sharp dialogue, and plots that confound and amaze. And they call this latest one, Bloody Genius, a near-perfect crime novel. So what a great kind of thing for an actor to dig into, and it's so much fun to hear how they take on these mysteries on audio. And then coming soon next year, some other very familiar names. Of course, Jonathan Kellerman, psychologist Alex Delaware is back with Detective Milo Sturgis. I have to admit, it's funny I'm presenting scary titles here because I am like the most squeamish and scary, like I'm afraid of everything that's scary. And some of these are so compelling, I just cannot press pause on them. And there's something that's sometimes a little bit safer. I feel protected by hearing a mystery presented through the voice of a narrator who makes it, for me, I can't skip ahead. I have to stay in the moment. And it's like watching a movie sometimes. It's just a really fun way to discover the ending of a great mystery. And what's cool, for John Rubinstein, Booklist has said he keeps Delaware's voice calm and in control throughout the methodical investigation, which is just like the hand-holding that I personally need. And then Joseph Finder is back in January. Holter Graham returns to read the latest in Nick Heller's adventures, and this is very timely in that it deals with the overdose of Nick Heller's army buddy, and he kind of starts to unravel the mystery behind a pharmaceutical kingpin who's worth billions, and someone comes forward who wants to be the whistleblower and expose her own father and his company for bearing evidence that its biggest moneymaker was dangerously addictive. So sadly, this is a timely mystery, but will be very compelling, and Audiophile said of the last Nick Heller take by Holter Graham that his straightforward narration was perfect. So we can expect no less with this one. And then coming soon, I'm so excited to have another listen from Chris Bojalian. He is a huge audiobook fan himself, and of course a huge friend and fan of libraries. And I put that quote on the screen because I love every time we hear his love for audiobooks. And some beautiful quote, he recently said when The Flight Attendant came out that he enjoys audiobooks because they are the latest manifestation of the human desire to listen to stories. And he really knows how to tell a great story, and has just such wonderful audiobooks, which I'm just thrilled for this one. And also just to point out, holds will be even higher for him coming up. We have The Flight Attendant is coming to HBO in a series starring Kaylee Cuoco. So keep an ear out for that. And in March, The Red Lotus is up next. And then The Holdout, I'm actually reading this galley right now, and it's really compelling. It's going to be such a neat audio experience, which all of his books are an audio experience. Graham Moore is an Oscar award-winning screenwriter for The Imitation Game. I think, immediately when I hear someone knows how to write a good script, you know that when they write a novel, The dialogue is going to be snappy, and it's going to be so great on audio as well. And The Holdout is definitely no exception. It's a great legal crime thriller. And something so interesting came up just when I was reading this latest part, where they make a point of saying that people in the jury can't take notes when they're listening to what the prosecutors or the defense have to say about the case, that it's so important to listen. And I was just thinking about the experience of listening to a mystery or listening to people present evidence, and there's something that really puts you in the moment in the audio experience. So I think your mystery and thriller fans will really enjoy that one. So as I said, I'm scared of everything, and I think these seem so scary, but I also think that's a huge selling point to people who love to be scared. And what's better than listening to a scary story? It's like gathering around a campfire in the middle of the night in the dark. And so these are some that I think are going to be some of the most scary listens of 2020, which you definitely have the audience for. The Other People. Driving home one night, stuck behind a rusty old car, Gabe sees a little girl's face appear in the rear window. She mouths one word, Daddy. It's his 5-year-old daughter, Izzy. He never sees her again. But there is someone who knows what really happened to Gabe's daughter. I have chills just reading that small description. Richard Armitage reads the audio for this. He's a fabulous, fabulous narrator and actor who you might be familiar with. And as Kirk has recently said, C.J. Tudor just keeps getting better and better. Darling Rose Gold. So this is, you might be familiar with The Act, the Hulu original TV series that just won an Emmy for Patricia Arquette's performance. But I think Munchausen syndrome is having its moment, and this is a very scary listen. Just to give you a little taste of what it's about, for the first 18 years of her life, Rose Gold Watts believed she was seriously ill. Neighbors did all they could, holding fundraisers and offering shoulders to cry on, but no matter how many doctors, tests, or surgeries happened, no one could figure out what was wrong with Rose Gold. Turns out her mom, Patty Watts, was just a really good liar. Lee Child has said this is sensationally good, and it has 2 complex characters. So I'm really excited to hear what the casting will be like for this audiobook. So stay tuned, and we'll let you know as soon as we know. And then finally on this slide, The Return by Rachel Harrison. So Julie's missing, and the missing don't often return, but Elise knows Julie better than anyone, and she feels in her bones that her best friend is out there and that one day she'll come back. She's right. 2 years to the day that Julie went missing, she reappears with no memory of where she's been or what happened to her. This is being described as Girls Meets The Shining. It's a haunting, and modern debut that's it's a perfect balance of horror elements and women's fiction. And Simone St. James, as you can see, said it's by turns scary and funny, horrifying and real, and impossible to put down, and I think will be impossible to pause. Some other scary listens coming up: Death in Her Hands by Otessa Moshfegh. So you know, my year of rest and relaxation, I think I'm still seeing book clubs eat that one up. So I think people will be really excited for this one. While on a normal daily walk with her dog in the nearby forest woods, our protagonist comes across a note handwritten and carefully pinned to the ground with a frame of stones. Her name was Magda. Nobody will ever know who killed her. It wasn't me. Here is her dead body. Our narrator is deeply shaken, and so am I. But I can't wait to listen to the rest because I'm dying to know what happened, and we'll reveal the narrator for this coming up soon. Max Brooks has a new novel coming out, Devolution. If anyone's familiar with World War Z, obviously extremely impressive book, and an extraordinary audiobook. I mean, the way that this came to life with a full cast and the way that he writes just so perfectly lends itself to the idea of oral history. And so the audiobook for this, we can expect something similar. As you can see in the subtitle, there is a first-hand account of Sasquatch. So I am very excited to see what fun we can have with the audio of this, and it should be a really riveting listening experience. And then finally on this slide, The New Girl. So this is, again, I think a great suspense novel for fans of books about female friendship or people who love Leanne Moriarty. How far would someone go to replace you? A new mother on maternity leave grows increasingly paranoid about her ambitious young temp in a debut Hitchcockian suspense from the fashion editor at the Times in the UK. So we're really excited for that one as well. I just have a few minutes left, but I had to show you, I hope that you're already familiar with these fabulous female sleuths, but all of these series are wonderful. One of them, Susan Alien McNeil's Next, comes out. It's a Maggie Hope mystery. It comes out in February with the wonderful Susan Dwerdin. It's called The King's Justice. Alan Bradley, this one is from earlier this year. I almost said last year, but it already feels like it's almost 2020. But The Golden Tresses of the Dead was the 10th audiobook and novel in the Flavia de Luce series. If you haven't heard this on audio, I feel like I could shout this to the rooftops to anybody who loves mysteries, who loves audiobooks, who loves Alan Bradley. You have to hear Jane Entwistle's take on Flavia de Luce. It's really extraordinary. And then finally, let's get in the Christmas spirit with a great mystery, and this is read by Amy Bruneau, who brings charm and authenticity to Melanie, the sleuth in Karen White's series. Daniel Krauss is back with his Odyssey award-winning narrator, Kirby Hayborn. They are a fabulous duo, and this is scary but memorable. It's funny, it's heartbreaking. The two of them just have such a great working relationship over the years. They've done extraordinary listens that have come to life in audio in a whole new way. Rodgers and Scowler are on the listening library list, but both won Odyssey Awards. It's just fabulous, and we're so excited that Kirby is back to voice Daniel's latest, Blood Sugar. Some teen crossovers to keep on your list. I think that this will appeal to both teens and adults who love a great mystery. And just to point out, The King of Crows is the fourth in Libba Bray's series, and January Lavoie is just extraordinary in this 20s ghost mystery designer series. So we can't wait for her to come back. And I'm just moving quickly because I'm out of time, but two more that podcast listeners will love, one nonfiction and one fiction, but I think will both appeal to those people who love CSI and forensics and murder and all those good things. And then some literary appeal coming up, great mysteries. Catherine Steadman is a talented author and narrator who is back to read her next one, Mr. Nobody. We're so thrilled about that. And then finally, some more campus chills. The daughter of Lisa Scottolini has her first debut solo project coming out, Ghosts of Harvard, which we're super excited about. And then we have a wonderful cast for Sarah Shepard's Reputation. You can see all of those amazing actresses there. That's going to bring this mystery to life in such a fun and interesting way. Booklist already gave the book a star review, saying it's a brilliant narrative told in the voices of many women. So what an audio experience that is going to be. And then finally, I know you know all about these, but they're audio winners that are extraordinary. They're award winners that are extraordinary audios. And I just wanted to make sure you're aware of the fabulous audio reviews for these two titles. So thank you so much. Don't be a stranger. Email me if you have any questions. And I can't wait to hear about the rest of the mystery books.
Awesome. Thank you, Jen. Next, we are going to hear from Sarah Porter. Sarah did an MA in publishing and started her career with editorial and sales roles at Headline and Penguin UK before moving to Severn House in 2011. A Yorkshire lass, she loves soccer, discovering new bands, and trying to design and make her own clothes, often with disastrous consequences. So thankfully, this is an audio-only medium, I guess. And thank you so much for being here, Sarah.
Hello, hi everybody. It's great to be here. At Severn House, we specialise in series crime of all types, from police procedural and psychological suspense to cosy mysteries. And we're really excited to share some of our new titles coming to the US this winter. So I'll get started. If we go down. Okay, so the first slide is a new series, Darkly Compelling Contemporary Crime. And here we have AJ Cross, who is a forensic expert with over 20 years' experience of assisting the police. We've published 5 titles in the Kate Hanston series, all of which have received brilliant reviews. The most recent, called Cold Heart, was described as outstanding and received a Publishers Weekly starred review. The Dark Truth is the first in the Will Traynor Forensic Mystery series. Will Traynor is a criminologist, but he has a troubled past. In him, we have a very fascinating, complex, and very clever and unique character. I think readers are really going to enjoy learning more about Will as the series progresses. He's called in here when a headless body is discovered on a popular jogging trail, and he's called in to assist D.I. Bernard Watts. It seems the murder is linked to a past crime, and Bernard doesn't think Will is going to be very helpful, but he soon proves to be very, very wrong on that count. Booklists have already called this a solid, skillfully written police drama with plenty of twists, and it really does keep you guessing. We think this will appeal to fans of Patricia Cornwell in particular. And the next one on this slide is Trouble in Mind by Michael Wiley, first in another new series. Michael's previous thriller, Monument Road, was nominated for the 2018 Seamus Best PI novel, and we're really, really excited to introduce Maverick Chicago PI Sam Kelson in this hard-hitting new crime noir series. So like Will Traynor, with Trouble in Mind, we have another strong lead, and really Sam is like no other in that he cannot keep silent or tell lies when questioned. He has to tell the truth at all times. Sam goes round to his client's home and makes a shocking discovery. He's arrested, but it seems he's been set up. By whom and why? Events soon spiral completely out of control, and this is really, really gripping, edge-of-your-seat stuff, which I could not put it down. In the end, Sam is trying to survive long enough to find out the answers to his many questions. It's just so gripping, really hard-hitting. There's a dry sense of humour running throughout the entire book, and we really think it will appeal to fans of Michael Connelly and CJ Box. Okay, so next slide is new series, exciting new directions. We've got quite a few new series. So here we have a mystery from Heather Redmond, Journal to Death. She's the author of the Dickens of a Crime series, and she's a new author for us. This mystery features a vlogger, which is a new thing for Severn House, quite trendy, very cool, very much of the time. And vlogging is a craze online. It ties into the whole idea of social media, making and sharing videos which you can share on the internet. So in this first new series from Heather, we're delighted to introduce journaling vlogger Mandy Meadows, who searches for her cousin's killer. And at the start of the book, Mandy and her daughter hear a noise on the basement stairs while they're making one of their videos, and they find the body of Mandy's cousin Ryan, who rents the basement. Mandy's thought is obviously who would kill Ryan, but she soon realises that her cousin isn't who she thought he was. There's lots of twists and turns and really shocking moments as Mandy learns more about Ryan. It's a real page turner, and we're just really excited to have a new author for us and for her to join us on our list. Moving on to The Black Cage by Jack Fredrickson. You might know Jack's Deck Elsham mysteries set in Chicago. So this is a new series also set in Chicago, featuring Milo Rigg, a crime reporter who's really had a hard time of it in both his professional and personal life. He's made the bad mistake of exposing a botched murder investigation. So when we meet him here, his career is in tatters, he's bruised, he's tormented by the sinister black cage that comes to him in his sleep. At the beginning of the book, the bodies of two young girls are found down a ravine in Chicago, and this case is linked to the previous botched case. So Marlowe now has a chance to right the wrongs of the past and get rid of the black cage. But can he? Confronted with deception and corruption at every turn, we really kind of we really see Marlowe try to kind of uncover the truth and try and clear his name. Jack is known for his Deck Elsham mysteries, as mentioned. This feels a bit darker, a bit more psychological, very compelling. In Marlowe, there's a character who's willing to stand up to his demons. It's another complex, intriguing lead character, and one that you can really get behind and really root for as a reader, which I love. Okay, moving on to exceptional crime in exotic climes. Here we have an artful assassin in Amsterdam with Michael Grant. Michael is a best-selling author. You may obviously probably know of him already. This series is inspired by the 21 years he himself spent on the run. So he's something of an expert when it comes to this subject, and he's created a really authentic undercover world. This is a fast-paced thriller, high energy, extremely entertaining. David is cruising along the canal in Amsterdam when somebody tries to murder him in a very bizarre fashion. I won't spoil it and tell you how, but you will not see it coming. After a second attempt to assassinate him, he's rescued by an FBI agent, but then she wants him to help her prevent the theft of a painting. So the plot really does thicken. It's a beautiful Amsterdam setting, full of culture, full of art. The atmosphere really comes across, and it's non-stop, breathless action from start to finish. We really think this will appeal to fans of Lee Child. Next is The Case of a Reincarnated Client by Tarquin Hall. Set in India. It's very charming, very quirky, very humorous Indian-based mystery. Very much in the style of Alexander McCall Smith. Really enjoyable, based around private investigator Vish Puri, who has a client claiming to be a reincarnation of someone who vanished during the 1984 riots. This leads Puri into discovering a cover-up, and the threads of the mystery get ever more tangled and ever more enjoyable as the book progresses. Can Puri get to the bottom of what's going on? We think people are going to fall in love with this quirky, very humorous character. And the author has 4 previous Vish Puri mysteries, if you enjoy this one. Okay, next slide. Beware the blood-soaked streets of London. So slightly less exotic setting here, but we love it all the same. This is London, where I'm based now, where I'm talking to you from now. And we have 2 mysteries here, David and Mark, A Rush of Blood, and Music Macabre by Sarah Rain. And David Mark, we published his previous book, The Mausoleum, first book for us, and it got such good reviews, really, really brilliant reviews. This is another gripping, dark tale of terror involving a deranged serial killer, which is perfect for fans of Jeffrey Deaver and Thomas Harris in particular. The 10-year-old Hilda is searching for her missing friend, but soon finds out she's not the only young girl to go missing. Her investigation attracts unwanted attention that leads to a terrifying game of cat and mouse on the rain-lashed streets of the East End of London. 2 great things about this, in its London depiction in particular, is that there's a lot of rain, it's raining, which is very true in London right now, and it is a little bit rainy. And also David captures the East End really, really well. I don't know if anybody has been to the East End of London. It's been a setting for many dark deeds and villains, including Jack the Ripper, quite famous. And that brings us very nicely onto Music Macabre, because that also has a Jack the Ripper theme. It's a new Phineas Fox mystery from Sarah Rain. And here we have Phineas researching a biography of the composer, Franz Liszt. Phineas Fox uncovers evidence of a brutal murder and finds his own life in danger. So as Phineas is making his investigations, he finds evidence that the composer was linked to a notorious music hall performer called Scaramel, brilliant name, and through her to Jack the Ripper. And it's Jack the Ripper that really inspired this story, as the author's kind of spoken about to us, and it really is full of atmosphere, really brings the streets of London, and it's really, really dark and compelling. And it's just an extraordinary, fascinating mystery, everything you'd expect from Sarah Rain and this series, which has done very well for us so far, and people love it. It's a very popular series, and we're so happy to publish in this new edition. Okay, historical mysteries now. We have a very strong roster of historical mysteries, and it's great to be able to share our newest offerings with you. Okay, we start with The Hocus Girl from Chris Nixon. It's Leeds, it's 1822, and I don't know if you know Chris already, but he writes a lot about Leeds. In fact, all of his mysteries are set in Leeds. It's in the north of the UK, and it really is that part of the country where the Industrial Revolution was born. Leeds played a large part in that, and Chris's books really capture society at the time and workers' lives in the north at that time really, really well. So this is the second in Chris's new Simon Wester series. Simon is a thief taker. He's very much an ordinary man, no airs or graces, but he's very much a hero of Leeds, and he's just trying to earn a living and bring in thieves and murderers to justice as he does it. So here he must save a close friend from a grim fate at the hands of the government, while also helping a man who was hocused by a young woman who spiked his drink and stole his watch. But the hocus girl seems to know some pretty dark secrets, and as the mystery progresses, Simon tries to find her and also tries to unravel quite a kind of spider's web of lies and deceit. And there's a lot going on here. And also his assistant Jane is a brilliant character. She's a young girl, very troubled, but very strong and very sharp-witted. Really, really fascinating. And as the series goes, this is book 2, but as we have more and more books and as we kind of see more and more of her, we're kind of really getting a grasp of her character. And she's a brilliant young girl. So this is going to appeal to fans of Anne Perry. Very well plotted and atmospheric read. And if you love Chris Nixon already, you're going to absolutely adore this. He has another series, a Tom Harper mystery series, also set in Leeds, and it's very much in that vein. Maybe slightly darker, but just as compelling. And the other historical mystery on this slide is Script for Scandal by Rennie Patrick. Rennie Patrick, a new author for us, husband and wife writing duo. This is set in 1939 in LA. And the authors already have 2 books in this series. You can tell the authors have a real passion for the movies and for Hollywood. It really comes through in the writing. Sleuthing duo Lillian Frost and Edith Head investigate the behind-the-scenes scandal, a really delightful golden age of Hollywood mystery. And Edith here, she gets her hands on a script that's meant to be fiction, but the plot is based on a real robbery in 1936, and Lillian's boyfriend Gene is involved. So it seems the writers put Gene at the heart of the scandal, twisting fact with fiction, or have they? That's what Edith and Lillian are keen to find out and to clear Gene's name as he gets involved in this kind of scandal. Perfect mystery for anyone who loves Tinseltown, glamour, style, actors, actresses, opulent sets, and twisty scripts, and murder, of course. Okay, and our last historical mysteries. First up is The Bells of Hell by Michael Kurland, first entry in a new series, a new author for us. And this sees Jacob Welker in 1938. He's an counterintelligence agent and he must follow a suspected attack by German spies in New York. But in order to thwart this attack, he must first work out who the Nazis are, what the target is, and when will they strike. It's very, very tense as he tries to kind of get to the bottom of what's going on here. It's a very engrossing mystery by an author who himself spent 4 years in army intelligence in America and in Europe. And, that kind of authenticity really does shine through in the writing. It's very, very gripping. The next one on the slide, The Wages of Sin, Judith Cutler. First in a brand new Victorian mystery series featuring steward Matthew Rosalie and housekeeper Mrs. Faulkner. So it's a quite intriguing, quite interesting detective duo, but very engaging. And here a young housemaid is missing. The question is, has she really eloped with a young man, or is there something more sinister going on? And I think we know what the answer might be to that one. It's very entertaining, really enjoyable, very charming, full of secret, scandal, and simmering tension. Pretty much everything you'd expect from a mystery set on a grand English country estate. And that's me done. Hope you enjoyed hearing about the books. Thank you.
Okay, thank you, Sarah. Our next presenter will be Virginia Stanley. Virginia is the Director of Library Marketing at HarperCollins Publishers and has been with the company for over 30 years. She loves putting books into the heads and hands of librarians. One of the most effective ways she does this is by hosting a monthly Facebook Live video program with her Library Love Fest colleagues. Librarians can find them sitting in a tiki hut, drinking adult beverages, and talking about books they love. Follow Library Love Fest on Facebook, and you'll always know when their next Facebook Live will air. Go to librarylovefest.com to find archived videos, as well as book club resources, author posts, staff picks, and so much more. Take it away, Virginia.
Thank you so much, Susan and Grace. Thank you for forwarding the slides for me. My laptop is acting as cranky as all get out. Anyway, next. Can we move ahead? Thank you so much. Yeah, we are doing Facebook Lives once a month. We just did one yesterday, and our Halloween theme was Mysteries and Spooky Reads. So if you go to Library Love Fest on Facebook, you will see that there. Also, and if you're not on Facebook Live, that's okay too. Just go to librarylovefest.com, and we make all the videos. We turn them into a file, and you can just watch them. But we had a lot of fun, and we talked about a lot of old, new, and forthcoming mysteries that make us scared. And, of course, everything you want to know about getting whitelisted and getting galleys, just go to Library Love Fest. It's one-stop shopping. Next. We did do recently a presentation here at HarperCollins with winter-spring highlights, not limited to one theme, but just highlights all across the board. So those videos can also be found on librarylovefest.com. So if you want to hear us talk at length about books as opposed to rushing through a bunch of books right now, go to Library Love Fest and you'll see that there. Next. Okay, first book up. And I have a lot of books and not a lot of time, so I will get to as many as I can, but what I don't get to, it's on your handout. Dead to Her by Sarah Pinborough. So she's the author of Behind Her Eyes, which was a New York Times bestseller, USA Today bestseller, and Cross Her Heart, which garnered terrific reviews, reviews in Library Journal. And so she's back with another one that takes place in Savannah, Georgia. And it is about a woman who says, once a cheat, always a cheat. That's what they say. We meet this woman, Marcy Maddox, and she had an affair with a man, and that started her new life, a life of country clubs and yachts and gorgeous homes, and all, as I say, set in Savannah, Georgia. But not so easy to maintain. And her husband has got a roving eye, and when his boss brings home a hot new wife, suddenly she's got his attention. And so this is about revenge being served best cold, but in the steamy Savannah heat, blood runs so hot that this summer might just boil over into murder. It's great fun. It's gotten terrific reviews already. Booklist gave it a star, said it's an absorbing tale. It will satisfy and surprise fans of Jennifer McMahon and Gillian Flynn. Really, really wonderful. So check that out. Next is The Lucky One. This is Lori Rader-Day is the Edgar Award-nominated and Anthony and Mary Higgins Clark Award-winning author of Under a Dark Sky, The Day I Died, Little Pretty Things, The Black Hour. She is a co-chair of the Mystery Readers Conference Murder and Mayhem in Chicago, and she's also the National Vice President of Sisters in Crime. This is, The Lucky One is taking a deep dive into the world of true crime. It's about a child who had been taken from her backyard. She lived in a little tiny community in Indiana, and against the odds, her father found her. Her father was a policeman and tracked her down and found her within 24 hours and rescued her from harm. But the family moved away. They moved to Chicago, started a new life, but she never forgot this, and she was a little kid at the time. So she devotes herself to finding people. She scrolls the pages of this website called the Doe Pages, as in, John Doe, and she's scrolling through pages, and she's trying to unite or identify unidentified people, searching for clues to help reunite families with missing loved ones, when a face appears on the screen that she recognizes, and it's the man who kidnapped her years ago. So she goes down that rabbit hole and connects with some very interesting people, and it's really, really chilling, and she's such a smart writer. If you go to Edelweiss, the page for the books page on Edelweiss, you'll read this really cool behind-the-book story that Lori has written about how this story came to be, which I find fascinating. So that's The Lucky One by Lori Rader-Day. Next. The Guest List by Lucy Foley. This is very Agatha Christie. I love this book. A wedding celebration turns dark and deadly. This is one of those weddings that takes place on a very remote island off the coast of Ireland. So there's very little cell service. This is very hotsy. There's a handsome groom who's a rising TV star, and the bride is this, magazine publisher. So it's up there. But there's something horrible happens. It seems like it's perfect, but nothing ever is. And when someone turns up dead, who didn't want this happy couple to live happily ever after, and more importantly, why. So you've got the bride, the plus one, the best man. So the book is broken down into all these different characters in the story, and it's it's really great because it's very Agatha Christie, and you can't figure it out until you do. But it's very much like her other book, The Hunting Party, where people are in a confined space. One of them dies, one of them did it. It's great fun. Next book is The Silence by Susan Allott. This book is based on historical fiction, but it is a thriller, and it's based on this tumultuous event in Australia's recent past, the Stolen Generation scandal. There was a government program that directed the forcible removal of Indigenous Australian children from their birth families to integrate them into white society. And the Australian government had issued an apology for its actions in 2008, not that long ago. This book takes place between 67 and 97, and it explores the story of these two couples and the secrets that they kept. So it starts in 97, and you meet this woman, Isla Green. She's wakened in the middle of the night by a phone call from her father, who is calling her from Sydney. And 30 years ago, in 67, their next-door neighbor went missing. Everybody assumed it was a bad marriage, and she just took off. But now Isla's father is the case has come to life again, and they're thinking that he might have something to do with it. So she unwillingly goes back to Australia for the first time to support her father, and that's where it takes off. But it's a stunning debut, and it is, as I said, based on the germ of this book was based on real historical facts. Next, Good Marriage. So Kimberly McCreight, I'm sure hopefully you know her from the New York Times bestselling book Reconstructing Amelia. That was nominated for an Edgar Anthony Alex. She also wrote Where They Found Her, The Outliers, which was this young adult trilogy. Now she's back to, this psychological sort of, juicy family territory that we're reconstructing Amelia really put her on the map. So this is sort of like Big Little Lies meets Presumed Innocent. It's about a woman's murder and the compromises that some couples make and the secrets that they keep in order to stay together. I'm seeing a theme in the books that I picked. It's very funny. But so you meet this woman who is she is working at a law firm, and she gets a phone call from somebody from her past, and it's a friend, an old friend, and he's desperate because his wife has been found murdered. Well, she's found dead at the bottom of the stairs in their Brooklyn brownstone, and he's the primary suspect. So this woman, Lizzie, is drawn into this sort of dark heart of idyllic Park Slope. And she finds out that this guy and his wife weren't really as happily married as they all seemed. And then she starts to look at her own life and think, is my marriage so great either? And Kim knows about what she writes. She gets this great look, and she's from Brooklyn, lives in Brooklyn, and she's just a great look into these multi-million-dollar brownstones and picturesque, tree-lined streets. And but nothing ever is what it seems. And so this is a great blend of legal and dysfunctional domestic drama, which I love. So I love that Big Little Lies meets Presumed Innocent. It's gotten some great reviews already. Harlan Coben loves it. Lisa Scottolini loves it. And, she writes legal thrillers like nobody's business. She's terrific. So this is a terrific book, and I'm glad that she's back in this territory. Next book, Something She's Not Telling Us by Darcey Bell. Her first book, Simple Favor, was a New York Times bestseller, and it sold over 500,000 copies across all formats. This is also available as a hardcover library edition. So there's a terrific piece on Edelweiss which gives you an excerpt from the book and a synopsis. So you get to read a good chunk of the book, and you get to read the synopsis, which is basically that this woman, Charlotte, seems to have everything that she could ever want. She's got this terrific husband, and she's got this cute little shop, and she's got this cute little 5-year-old daughter named Daisy. And she doesn't have the greatest relationship with her mother, but, that's okay. I mean, she moves on. She's got a younger brother named Rocco, who in the past has had terrible taste in women, but when he introduces his new girlfriend to Charlotte and the family, they are cautiously optimistic, thinking that this could be the one. And Daisy, Charlotte's 5-year-old, seems to love this woman that the brother has brought home. So that's good, but Charlotte keeps telling herself something's up. And as Rocco and Ruth's relationship becomes more serious, Ruth's apparent obsession with 5-year-old Daisy grows more obvious. And then Daisy is kidnapped. Doesn't that always happen? Of course. And Charlotte's convinced that there's only one person who could have taken her. So much more to say, but do go to Edelweiss and read a little bit of the book, and it's just so much fun. Next book. No Bad Deed, so good. So this is Heather Chavez's book. This is a debut, and it's about a woman a veterinarian. She's driving home one rainy night, and she sees something run in front of her car. She stops, and she gets a closer look, pulls it over to the side of the road, and she sees a man and a woman fighting on the side of the road, physically fighting. He's beating her up. She calls 911, and she makes a split decision that throws her entire life into chaos. She gets out of the car to go and get involved and to try and hopefully, avert this horrific thing that's about to happen. It is so good. The next day, the next day is Halloween, and her husband takes their 6-year-old daughter trick-or-treating, and they go missing. Wait, I forgot to tell you this one thing. So after she calls the cops and the man runs away, leaving this poor thing hurt, when the cops ask her questions, and then she goes back to her car to go home. Her car is gone. So now she's freaked out because she knows that this horrible man, he knows where she lives. Ugh. Okay, next slide. 5 minutes left. Oh, my God. Okay. Have You Seen Me by Kate White. This is she's got terrific standalones, The Secrets You Keep, The Wrong Man. This is about a finance journalist who arrives at work early in Manhattan, only to she's learned that she's forgotten her key card, so she has to go get it from a colleague to let her in. Her boss arrives, and he seems surprised to see her because she hasn't worked there in 5 years. You'll have to read the book to find out what happens next. Okay, how many minutes do I have left? 2.5. No going back. Sheena Kamal. She is the best-selling debut author of The Lost Ones, which won many awards, including a McCavity Award for Best First Novel. And then she wrote a sequel called It All Falls Down, which Kirkus gave a starred review. This is the third novel featuring Nora Watts, who is this woman who has a vendetta against a triad officer who places a target on her daughter's back. So she gave up her teenage daughter for adoption, but now her teenage daughter has a target on her back, and it's all because of Nora. Because 2 years ago, when she was this teenager was kidnapped by this wealthy Zhang family. Nora rescued her, but she made a powerful enemy in Dao, who's the triad enforcer of the former head of the Zhang's private security. So that's the setup. She finds herself in deep trouble with this group, and it goes from Canada to Southeast Asia, ends up in Vancouver, and it's Sheena Kamal is a terrific writer. So, okay. I think this is my last one, 8 Perfect Murders by Peter Swanson. So he is the hugely talented author of Before She Knew Him, among others. That really put him on the map. The Kind Worth Killing, love that book, and The Girl with the Clock for a Heart, which was terrific. So this is about a bookseller and a mystery aficionado. His name is Malcolm Kershaw, and he compiled a list of the genre's most unsolvable murders, those that are almost impossible to crack, which he entitled 8 Perfect Murders, and he chose them from some of the best-selling authors like Agatha Christie's ABC Murders, Patricia Highsmith's Strangers on a Train, and Ira Levin's Death Trap. So no one's more surprised than Malcolm, who's the owner now of this Old Devil's Bookshop in Boston, when an FBI agent comes knocking on his door because she's looking for information about a series of unsolved murders that look very similar to the killings on Malcolm's old list. So that sets that off. Suddenly he's a suspect, and how could this be? How did they put any of this together? So that's 8 Perfect Murders, a great mystery about mysteries. I love that. Then lastly, we have, next slide, Sarah Paretsky. We have a new V.R. Warshawski installment in that wonderful series. And also we have, next slide and last slide, Love and Other Crimes. Love and Other Crimes, these are stories by Sarah Paretsky. And this collection will include brand new, never-before-published stories one published story that has never been published before, featuring V.I. Wachowski, but there are other stories within this collection. So, she's an amazing person and a terrific writer and a great. This is just a great series. So, new addition to the series and new collection of stories. And if I had more time, I would talk about these, but I don't. So I will say thank you very much, and do check out Library Love Fest on Facebook or librarylovefest.com, and you can see us talking about lots and lots of other books. And if you want to like us on Facebook, you'll get an alert when we do our next Facebook Live, which will be in November. Thank you so much.
Cool. Thank you, Virginia. Our final presenter today will be Bob Gusson. Bob is the CEO and co-founder of Oceanview Publishing, a publishing house dedicated to mysteries and thrillers. Before Oceanview, Bob was the corporate vice president and chief scientific officer of Johnson & Johnson. In 2006, Bob and his wife Patricia pursued their dream and started Oceanview Publishing. Now, with best-selling and award-winning authors and 400 books on the market, they are the proud recipients of the International Thriller Writers Thriller Legends Award. Bring us home, Bob.
Well, thank you very much, and thanks to Booklist for giving me this opportunity to present our winter slate, which is, I think, a very strong group of books coming from a nice mix of veteran and debut authors. Let me start with our December release, Lost Tomorrows, by veteran author Matt Coyle. This is a hard-boiled thriller, perfect for fans of Robert Cray and T. Jefferson Parker. Coyle is an Anthony McCavity and Shamus Award nominee, and this is the sixth book in the Rick Cahill series, a very successful series for Matt. In December, next slide please, we bring out also Relentless by Sean Wilson. Fans of Michael Connelly will love this book. Detective Brian Cavanaugh, like Connelly's Harry Bosch, uses brains more than brawn to solve crimes, and like Bosch, he relentlessly seeks the truth. This is an outstanding debut novel from Sean Wilson. In January, we bring out Toward the Light by Bonner Spring. This is another debut novel, and it exemplifies the term, things are not always what they seem. Luz Concepcion travels to Guatemala to murder the man who destroyed her family. When she gets there, she learns the crushing truth, and her world really disintegrates. In February, we bring out The Heartless by veteran author David Putnam. Sheriff's Department Deputy Bruno Johnson will stop at nothing to solve crimes and get to the truth. But when his daughter is kidnapped, there really are no stops for Bruno, and legal limitations mean nothing. This is a police procedural on steroids. In March, we will launch The Leonardo Gulag by debut author Kevin Doherty. This is an epic. It's a gigantic story of life in Russia under Stalin, and the story is told through the eyes of a young, very talented artist who is conscripted and sent to a Siberian gulag where, with other talented artists, he is forced to create forged copies of art masters, and where his life and the lives of others depend on flawless artistic talent, and nothing less is tolerated. This is a great debut novel. In April, we bring out Diver's Paradise by Davin Goodwin. Readers who enjoy Randy Wayne White's Doc Ford and Robert Parker Spencer will enjoy Detective Roscoe Conklin, who plies his trade on the small Caribbean island of Bonaire. But Conklin is pulled into a murder case back in his old hometown when a good friend was killed. and Big Trouble Finds Its Way to Paradise, and The Real Target. This concludes our presentation on our winter books. I think, again, it's a very strong group of mix of veteran authors and new authors, and I think the readers will be very excited to get these books. Thank you for the opportunity.
Thank you so much, Bob, and thank you to all of our wonderful panelists today. My TBR pile just exploded, so thanks for that. Okay. Tomorrow, all attendees will receive an email containing links to today's slide presentation, title list, certificate of completion, and video recording. For more about Booklist webinars, be sure to visit booklistonline.com/webinars, where you can view archives of past webinars or register for upcoming webinars like the ones you see here. If you haven't already, be sure to check out the Booklist Reader, where Booklist editors and contributors are posting weekly about all things books and library land. Calling all podcast lovers, Booklist Shelf Care, hosted by yours truly, brings all things reader's advisory, collection development, and reference right to your earbuds. You can subscribe on Apple Podcasts, Stitcher, or your favorite podcast app, and be the first to hear the latest episode, which was just published yesterday, or just released yesterday. Booklist has a digital edition of the magazine, which you can connect to your subscription online. This format pairs the page-by-page reading experience of print with the convenience of online access, and it's included free with all Booklist subscriptions. Not yet a subscriber? Take advantage of this special webinar offer to get print, online, digital, and archive access to Booklist for only $99. Thank you all for joining us for today's webinar. One more thank you to all of our sponsors, Books on Tape, Severn House, HarperCollins Publishers, and Oceanview Publishing. This concludes today's webinar.